Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today's video is sponsored by Audible, and to ring in the new year, they're giving away another free month. Now, if you haven't heard me talk about Audible before, Audible is where I listen to all of my Star Wars audiobooks. Now, these are all with sound effects, music, acting. It's essentially like, as I've said before, watching a movie just without the picture.
After each month that you're a member on Audible, you get a free audiobook token to use on any title that you want. They make life easier by allowing me to be on the go while getting the information of my favorite books, new and old, in kind of like a story setting. This month, I recommend you use your free pass for anything Bounty Hunter related, or if you're getting ready for Kenobi, then here's the deal. I want you to go check out the audiobook Master and Apprentice by Claudia Gray. It's a beautiful story that takes place before The Phantom Menace and shows the relationship between Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi as a Padawan. Now, Qui-Gon is one of my favorite Jedi of all time, and there's tons to learn about him in that book, and it's canon, so that's pretty cool.
So next month, I'll have another title for you, but for right now, I want you to start here with Master and Apprentice.
And as we get closer and closer to Kenobi, I'll be revealing more and more audiobooks for you to listen to with me.
And it doesn't have to be just Star Wars. It can be anything you like. Nonfiction, autobiography, science, comedy, podcasts, whatever you want. They're all on there.
Audible helps make space for what matters to you. It's a destination for your wellness, whether you're looking to soul search, be inspired, work towards new goals, unwind, or simply just be entertained. And they have more than just Star Wars as well. Everything from science to autobiographies to comedies and more are available at audible.com.
So grab your free month right now at audible.com/Star Wars Theory or text Star Wars Theory to 500-500. Everything's in the description. Now on to the video.
In today's video, this is going to be a pure 100% Star Wars theory. Now, there are a whole bunch of theories that I'm going to drop in this video of what I think could happen with many different factions and many different characters. So not just Din Djarin returning, which we all know that he is, but also the end of the Book of Boba Fett and how Star Wars itself could essentially unfold, creating another sequel trilogy before The Force Awakens. Okay, so in the last episode of the Book of Boba Fett, we know what's about to come. When Fennec tells Boba that credits can buy muscle if you know where to look, we heard the infamous Mandalorian theme song as the camera pushes out. So, what now? Well, I believe Boba will hire Din Djarin as one of the members of his new muscle team. We have Fennec Shand, Black Krrsantan, the two Gamorreans, and that's pretty much it. With Din on his side, let's say he does join, which I think he will. After the help Boba gave him in Season 2, I find it really hard to believe that he would decline, especially now that he doesn't have Grogu to look after. We have to remember, Din has the Darksaber. This means he is the rightful ruler of Mandalore, and with him comes an entire loyal army of other Mandalorians. This means all the Mandos we saw in Season 1, Episode 2, could come with him, and the Pikes would get absolutely blasted if they show up. That is, unless they have Cad Bane, Bossk, and Qi'ra on their side. Now, I know some of you are probably saying, Qi'ra, well, who cares? No, Qi'ra is really dangerous, maybe more than anyone else, because she was privately trained by Darth Maul. She's now proficient in Teräs Käsi, and she's even held her own for a few seconds against Vader, which isn't easy. Now, Teräs Käsi, in short, is essentially the study of using your fists as lethal weapons. You can anticipate strikes and attacks coming towards you, and you can pretty much dodge blaster fire. So if Boba gets Din Djarin, he gets Bo-Katan and all of the other Mandalorians who are loyal to their leader, assuming all goes well. Now the question is, how will he call Din? Will he use a comlink, or will he actually go to Mandalore, assuming that's where they are now and where they've taken Moff Gideon? Jaster Muriel was the rightful ruler of Mandalore, the man who was like a father to Jango Fett and trained him to become a Mandalorian. So does this mean that Boba could want to rule Mandalore himself? Will he even care to someday fight Din for the Darksaber? What if he goes to Mandalore and finds Din captured by the remnants of the Empire who came to save Moff Gideon, and now they control the Darksaber, making Boba fight them and granting him the Darksaber to rule? Now Boba rules Mandalore, Mandalorians, and soon the crime world of Tatooine, and maybe other parts of the galaxy, should he get greedy. I fail to see why the Empire would allow Gideon to be captured for too long without intervening. He was an integral process of the Emperor's cloning plans and contingency plan, so I doubt that they'd just say, oh well, he's gone missing, so let's just forget about him. No way, this would make everything kind of go on hold and it would drop the ball on current and future cloning projects. which Moff Gideon was in charge of, or at least overseeing. With Din in the next episode, if he helps Boba fight the Pikes, something terrible could happen to him, and this would cause a disturbance in the Force. It could mean Luke and Grogu would sense that he was in danger, just like how Sidious sensed Anakin was in danger, and they could come to find him, perhaps help him. And maybe he is with Han and Leia, and Luke could join in on the fight against the Pikes, and maybe some others that show up, which I'm going to get into. Now, what if the Pikes are being funded by Crimson Dawn, who roll with Cad Bane, Bossk, and Kira? Kira was trained by Maul, but what if they take another apprentice that Maul had? Perhaps a character from Legends, Darth Talon. This would make the sequel trilogy that George Lucas had planned before selling to Disney a possibility, and allowing Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni to create the most epic story based on Luke fighting Maul's apprentice and finding a slew of new Jedi to train, Grogu being one of them. This season could literally open the road to a sequel trilogy before the completed sequel trilogy and give us 2 sequels, essentially. Only this one being before The Force Awakens, and it wouldn't be a film, but rather a series of spin-off shows that all eventually lead to one finale, or better yet, one final film in the theater. We would end this season with Luke perhaps finding out about Talon and the Emperor's cloning facility that is working to bring him back, among other things like Snoke. And we could have the Ahsoka show to explain Thrawn and Ezra, eventually leading into meeting Luke Skywalker and learning from him, tying everything to the top of the storyboard here, which is the Empire cloning Luke, to give us Luke, just like in Heir to the Empire, the evil Luke, who goes on to lead the First Order and terrify Luke so much that once Luke is finally defeated, the real Luke feels the need to go into hiding and cut himself off from the Force in order to save the galaxy from getting himself cloned again, and this time losing. As the last time that happened, it was just a very close call, we could say. Now mind you, even if that was his fear, he would stand and fight, but honestly, it's happening canon now, so that's really the only logical thing I could see for Luke hiding the way he did. I think the Pikes are just the tip of the iceberg. I really think they're insignificant at this point. I believe behind them is Crimson Dawn, and behind them, or rather working alongside of them, is an even larger threat to the face of the galaxy. I believe with each faction we will have different heroes needing to rise up to take them down. Boba with the Pikes and Crimson Dawn, Luke with possible Force users, maybe a cloned version of himself who's evil from his hand in The Empire Strikes Back, Ahsoka against Thrawn, Ezra perhaps turning to the dark side, and eventually the rise of Snoke, as we do know that in canon Luke has fought Snoke before at some point. Either way, Din Djarin is coming into this season, and I couldn't be more excited for it. I think Din joins Boba's team and the Mandalorian could focus on this entire ragtag team circumventing the galaxy in an effort to find their way in the galaxy. Now that being said, something I really think would be cool to see is if Boba Fett actually takes the Darksaber and rules Mandalore and the crime world. This would give him that full circle of power that he needs and that he wants in order to be a respected crime lord. I mean, if you're ruling Mandalore and the Mandalorians, and you carry the Darksaber, and you're also the crime lord, you're pretty much untouchable. And this is something Maul wanted to do and planned to do to rival his master, Palpatine, Darth Sidious, when he got the Darksaber from Pre Vizsla and created Crimson Dawn. However, of course, his untimely demise at the hands of Obi-Wan Kenobi on Tatooine just before the events of A New Hope foiled all of his plans, and, he couldn't really do anything. But that doesn't mean that he can't have some sort of a cool Sith apprentice that he was training somewhere on Dathomir that we could have seen in Solo 2 had it not been cancelled, which I think is going to be in a lot of these spin-off shows now. We're going to get remnants of, Crimson Dawn and Kira and this and that, and maybe Darth Talon or whoever Maul was training. If he was training anybody, I think it would be cool if they added that in there. So while the sequels are completed and we did get Rey and Ben and Kylo, we could get a young Ben Solo here in between with all of these shows, and perhaps Ben Solo and Grogu are really close friends. That's a theory I'd like to make in another video and maybe extrapolate upon that. However, for right now, I really think that if Boba goes to Mandalore, he could see the ruin that has become of this planet, which is all due to the Empire after Order 66, or namely, the Purge. If you remember in the Clone Wars, all of the clones were stuck on, ordered to be on Mandalore, and they took everyone in as prisoners. And they essentially did what they wanted with the planet. Now, I think something that could really change the tide is Boba working with Din, but also a bigger threat opposing them, which is not just the Pikes, but if they start incorporating elements of the sequel trilogy, in which I mean Snoke, Palpatine from far away on Exegol, for example, controlling other beings. I mean, in The Mandalorian Season 2, we did see that base that was filled with a bunch of different, it looked like abominations or clones, and even one of them looked like Darth Maul. So I wouldn't be surprised if Palpatine was even trying to clone Darth Maul and see if he could transfer his essence into him. It's still not too late to get a very young Palpatine, and perhaps that clone body works perfectly, just as Snoke was essentially working. However, it got destroyed by Luke, and it was maybe just too close of a call, so Luke had to run away into hiding. And for me, that would make a lot more sense than him just hiding for the reasons that he explained in the sequels, which I just couldn't see for Luke Skywalker. And if you did, that's great. Now, moving forwards, if Din Djarin accepts Boba's call, who else could Boba call next? I think he's gonna try and call every single bounty hunter that he knows, maybe Valance, maybe Bossk, and maybe Bossk is working already for the Pikes or for Crimson Dawn. Maybe Dengar, and the only one that he wouldn't call, I think, is Cad Bane. Now this opens up the question, would he call the Bad Batch? Because Fennec does know about them, and she does know who Omega is. So could she tell Boba that, hey, you got a twin sister, and she's pretty badass? That opens up a video for next time where I will discuss Omega, and of course, another video after that where I want to discuss the possible appearance of Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, and Leia, and how that could actually happen. I hope you enjoyed this theory. Let me know how you think the entire show will end, the season finale of the Book of Boba Fett, as well as how you think these tendrils may open up new avenues into the rest of Star Wars, other shows that we're gonna get, the Ahsoka show, Acolyte perhaps going back in time, if it's even connected, or something else, who knows? Have an awesome rest of your day. Thanks for watching this theory video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Until then, remember, the Force will be with you, always.